look, I don't want to be the old man yelling at clouds and screaming, back in my day, but back in my day, before the transfer portal was used as a weapon for NIL purposes to allow a player to go to the highest bidder, it was actually used for players to get a second chance elsewhere, where they could revitalize their careers, hit the reset button, and live up to the five-star expectations. Look at Cam Newton at Auburn, Joe Burrow at LSU, Bo Nix at Oregon for that matter. And I think the same thing will happen with Johntay Cook, the former five-star Texas wide receiver. Just because things didn't work out on the 40 acres doesn't mean that he can't become a household name in college football for 2025 and beyond. And there are some SEC teams interested in him. So where does the Texas native land next? Let's break it all down. Welcome on into SEC Unfiltered. It's Cole Thompson here. Make sure that you like the video, hit that ring notification, and subscribe to the channel because we talk college football every single day. Download the podcast version of the show wherever you get your podcast listening systems. Follow us on the socials. The link is in the description down below. If you want to follow me, it's at Mr. Cole Thompson. The link is in the description down below. And check out all of our great work found at secunfiltered.com. This episode is brought to you by our friends over at RHOBACK. Go to RHOBACK.com and use the promo code SECU for 20% off your first purchase. Holiday season's right around the corner, so go to RHOBACK, use the promo code SECU for 20% off. And when you do so, just tell them that the fine folks at SEC Unfiltered sent you. Johntay Cook was a talented player. A lot of people thought that when he joined the 40 acres, he would be the heir apparent to Xavier Worthy. Great speed, phenomenal catch radius, does a good job of making contested plays in the air, good body control. He can win in single coverage. And for the most part, he had a good start to his career. Helped the team make it to the college football playoff and win the Big 12 in 2023. And then this past year, Texas brought in Matthew Golden and Isaiah Bond, and they got a five-star wide receiver in Ryan Wingo. And while Cook found his way into the end zone twice, he also got pushed down the pecking order. Finished with 16 catches for 273 yards and 2 touchdowns. Played in 6 games before eventually telling Steve Sarkisian, hey, I'm going to do what's best for me. And I think that I no longer fit what you're looking for here. Steve Sarkisian agreed. And so now he's in the portal. He's had over a month. He's been looking around. There's teams in the Big Ten, Oregon, Washington looking at him. There's teams in the SEC are looking at him. So where does he best fit? Let's start off with a team that I think really could utilize him. It's Florida. Florida currently is expected to host him on a visit later this month. And if all goes according to plan, I think that he'd be a really intriguing option as the number 2 wide receiver. You have Trey Wilson, you have Aiden Mizell coming back, but you are needing a veteran. You are needing someone to pair alongside with the duo because if you're losing Shamir DK and Elijah Badger, I think that Cook could be that dude. Selling point number 1, you have DJ Lagway. Both of you come from the state of Texas, and both of you want an opportunity to help revitalize the tenure down in the swamp. You remember what it was like watching Tim Tebow and hearing stories about what that Gator culture was in 2008, and you want to be a part of the new Gator culture, the one that transforms a team into a pivotal point in college football. And you could be that number 1 receiver. The best part is you also don't have to be that number 1 receiver. They have a lot of faith that Aiden Mizell can live up to expectations going into 2025. They have a lot of faith that Trey Wilson is going to break out, so long as he can stay healthy, moving into next season. And it's an offense that I think will predicate towards you because of the way that DJ Lagway loves to throw the football. He doesn't pinpoint onto one direct target. He can make plays. He can maneuver outside the pocket. The way that you utilize your body in control, you could utilize as a pristine route runner as the go-to target for Lagway moving forward. It feels like this is a really good fit. You get to play in a conference to where it just means more. You get to play for a program that's looking to build off of a successful tenure down the stretch. You hit reset on your career. Maybe you're a Biletnikoff Award winner and you're helping a guy like DJ Lagway make it to the Heisman Trophy presentation. The same thing goes for South Carolina. There's no reports of him going to South Carolina at this point, but what I will say is that if you pair him along with Mazeo Bennett and Nick Harbor, now you have a 3 tandem set at wide receiver that is probably going to be one of the more lethal ones on paper in college football. Now, again, it's on paper. We got to realize the games are played on Saturdays, not between the lines of a spreadsheet, but still, you feel pretty good about the direction that you'd be going in. Bennett can be your intermediate receiver. Your vertical threat can be a guy in Nick Harbor. And then you had in Johntay Cook, who can cook the middle part of the field. He can win with route running. He can win with his catch radius. He can win with body control. He can turn 50-50 balls into 80-20. There's a reason to believe that Johntay Cook could absolutely cook out in Columbia. I think he could also cook out in Knoxville, Tennessee. Listen, regardless of what you think about Tennessee this past season, they're in the college football playoff because of Dylan Sampson. They're going to lose Dylan Sampson after the playoff. Whenever they lose, whether it be to Ohio State, whether it be to Oregon, they're going to lose. a premier tailback. But they still have the quarterback in Nico Iamaleava. And Iamaleava has really turned the corner. If you go back and you watch the film from really after that matchup against Florida until the end of the season, he was probably one of the more consistent quarterbacks when it came to passing. It wasn't his fault that wide receivers were dropping balls like they were dropping flies. That was kind of the case. You didn't have that elite go-to guy because of everyone was making critical mistakes at the wrong time, whether it was Dante Thornton, whether it was Chris Brazzell, whether it was Brew McCoy, whether it was Squirrel White. You have Mike Matthews back next year. You need a running mate for him. In this offense that is going to be very spread, up-tempo, go, 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 no stop, 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 you want a player with Cook's speed, with Cook's route running, with Cook's body control to be a benefactor for a guy in Nico Iamaleava as he takes that next step forward. Tennessee is not going to sit by idly and watch as LSU goes out and makes moves or Alabama goes out and makes moves. They want to be a player in the portal game, and they want to be a player in the college football playoff moving forward. They have a taste of the 12-team victor. Why would they want to sit back idly and go hit reset after a good year? They want to make sure that they're getting their money's worth when it comes to Nico Iamaleava. You get him a guy like Johntay Cook, there's a lot of reason to believe that he could pan out. I think a team like Kentucky belongs in this conversation. Why Kentucky, you ask? Well, there is a quarterback by the name of Malik Murphy who is currently visiting Lexington. You may or may not know this, but Malik Murphy and Johntay Cook were a part of the same recruiting class, and they were very close when they were at the University of Texas. So if they land Malik Murphy and he goes and starts playing for a team out in the Bluegrass State, he's going to need a number one wide receiver. No more Dane Key, no more Barry and Brown. You build that relationship of what we saw in Austin, and it takes that next step forward. How are you not excited about potentially what Mark Stoops can do? You got to have a big-time year. There's a lot of people who are hoping that change is inevitable out in Lexington. How about Kroger Field stays stable for another 2 or 3 years with the current man at the helm by an offense taking that next step forward? That starts with Malik Murphy. That lands with Johntay Cook. I think that Oklahoma belongs in this category. Why Oklahoma? Well, Oklahoma needs a number one wide receiver. They lost everyone. They have Deion Burks who's coming back. He's changing his number from 6 to number 4, but regardless, he's back. Everyone else is gone. No more Jaleel Farouk. No more Brennan Thompson. No more Nick Anderson. No more Angelo Anthony. Everyone is leaving. And this is an offense headlined by Ben Arbuckle that wants to be explosive. They love to run the football, but they love to run the verts. You need speed at the wide receiver spot. I don't know who is going to be the starting quarterback in 2025. Is it going to be John Mateer? Is it going to be somebody else that they have to target now in the portal? Is it going to be Michael Hawkins? Whoever it is, they need weapons. And this is a dude that can absolutely be a weapon and following the same path as D.D. Westbrook and following the same path as Hollywood Brown and following the same path of countless other playmakers that have come through Norman and become figures on Sunday football. So absolutely, Oklahoma has to at least make a ploy for him. Maybe not the number one fit for the team, but definitely a fit for the team. Ole Miss has got to be in the conversation as well. Why? Well, hate to break it to you folks, but Ole Miss goes after everyone. They're going to go after the Singleton kid from Georgia Tech. They're going to go after Casey Concepcion from NC State. They need a legit force on the outside to pair alongside with Caden Lee. This is transfer portal king. He wants what he wants, and he's not afraid to take some moves. Lane Kiffin will go after players that maybe come with a troubled background or come with an attitude issue and say, you're going to play my way, I'm going to kick you off the team, and you're going to be known as a unforgotten name in college football. That might be the case for a guy like Johntay Cook. If he ends up not panning out at a place like Ole Miss, it's likely because of his internal decisions. Has nothing to do with his on-field play. And Ole Miss is going to be a player. They're going after a guy in Jalen Mbakwe for 7+ figure deals in NIL. Why not guarantee that you're going to be a threat in the college football playoff moving forward offensively with a brand new quarterback in Austin Simmons and weapons beyond belief that emulate exactly what you saw in 2024. Lastly, Texas A&M. Texas A&M has already picked up Micah Hudson, the Texas Tech transfer. You need another weapon to pair alongside with Noah Thomas. You lost Shadee Walker. You lost Jabri Barber. You're going to lose some other names in the portal. You've already seen Micah Tease enter. I know that you have a lot of faith in Isaiah Williams and Terry Bussey to take a next step forward, but I want somebody who can be a vertical threat. I want somebody who can win at the intermediate part of the field. I want somebody who can be that security blanket for Marcel Reed, because Reed is your starting quarterback going into 2025. They made it abundantly clear when Connor Wigman decided to hightail it on over to Houston that this is the guy that we have faith in to run Colin Klein's system. So give him as many weapons as possible, so that way at the end of the day, when you look back at your season and say, why did we go 8-4? Why did we go 9-3? Well, it's because of quarterback play. It wasn't because of weaponry. A&M has struggled to find a consistent weapon outside of Anaya Smith for the last 4 or 5 years. They haven't had a 1,000-yard receiver since I believe it was, who was it? Even Kendall Rogers was even further than that, if I'm not mistaken. We're talking about 5-6 seasons. Jimbo Fisher was just getting started the last time we saw a buck go over 1,000. You want to be able to get that guy? Johntay Cook could be that guy. And what better way to make sure that Steve Sarkisian realizes what he lost in the talent by having you travel back to Austin for the Lone Star Showdown and Cook be cooking up on the 40 acres. It's a fit that would make sense on paper, but it's also one that would really make sense on-field play. But let me know in the comment section down below, where do you think ultimately Johntay Cook lands? Florida, Tennessee, Kentucky? Does he leave the SEC altogether and head out west? Like, review, make sure you hit subscribe. Follow us on the social channels, TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Make sure that you're following me at Mr. Cole Thompson. And check out all of our great work found at SECUnfiltered.com. I'm Cole Thompson. Until next time, folks, just remember, it's not about how you start your career. It's all about how you finish. Bye.